All right. Welcome back, everyone, to the Deep Dive.
Glad to be here.
Today, we're going to be diving into something near and dear to my heart. Gaming gear.
Oh, yeah.
Specifically, we've got this really cool source, actually, that lays out like a whole potential podcast series dedicated entirely to gaming gear.
Interesting.
And the idea is to, like, help you, the listener, build the ultimate gaming setup.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
whether you're, a seasoned pro or just starting out,
Mm-hmm.
we're going to break down all the essentials.
Yeah.
So think of this as like a sneak peek into this hypothetical podcast series, right? We're going to hit those key takeaways from each episode that'll help you kind of understand,
Oh, dear.
you know what to look for when you're upgrading your gear.
I'm with you.
Let's do it. I know what you're thinking, right?
Yeah.
You walk into a store or you go online and it's like
Oh, yeah.
mice, keyboards, headsets, controllers, monitors.
It can be overwhelming. It's a lot. It's a jungle out there.
So to help us kind of navigate this jungle, we've got our resident expert here
Happy to help.
who's going to walk us through
Yeah.
all these potential episodes and kind of pull out the most valuable info.
Absolutely.
So are you ready to jump in?
I'm ready when you are.
All right, let's go.
So they kick things off with intro to essential gaming gear.
Makes sense, yeah.
But what I found interesting is they don't just list out the gear. They break down the why behind each piece.
Oh, okay.
Why is a mouse important? Why is a keyboard important? What are you looking for?
Yeah, like what makes a good one
Exactly.
versus a not so good one.
Exactly. So for example, right, with mice, they talk about DPI, which is dots per inch.
Oh.
It's essentially how sensitive the mouse is.
Right.
So a higher DPI means you can move the cursor across the screen faster with less physical movement, which is, super important for first-person shooters where you need that precision aiming.
Speed.
Exactly. So it's not just about getting the flashiest mouse.
Right.
It's about understanding what DPI is and what works for your play style.
So it's about finding the right tool for the job.
Exactly. And they do the same thing for keyboards,
Okay.
talking about mechanical switches,
Oh, yeah.
how those impact the feel and the responsiveness of each keystroke.
Big difference.
QGE difference. And then they touch on refresh rates for monitors,
Okay.
which is how many times per second the image on the screen updates.
Got it.
Higher refresh rates means smoother motion,
Okay.
which is huge GE for
Action games.
yeah, action-packed games, anything where you need to see really smooth movement.
Right.
It can be a game changer.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So they're really setting the stage by, helping us understand the core components
Yeah.
and why those technical specs actually matter.
So we're not just buying stuff for the sake of buying stuff.
Exactly. We're buying stuff that's actually going to enhance our gaming experience.
Awesome. So what comes after that?
Well, next up, they go into headsets, which is
Critical.
a staple for
Yeah.
any gamer.
Absolutely.
The episode is called, the best gaming headsets of 2024.
Okay.
And they really zero in on those make or break factors like sound quality, comfort,
Right.
and microphone clarity.
Well, especially if you're playing online with people, you need to be able to communicate.
Exactly. You got to be able to trash talk your opponents, right?
You got to be able to hear those footsteps.
You got to be able to hear those footsteps. That's key.
Totally.
And they even dive into the whole surround sound versus stereo debate.
Oh, interesting.
Right. Surround sound can give you that immersive experience.
You feel like you're in the game.
Yeah, you're in the worlds all around you, which is great for atmospheric games.
Yeah.
But then stereo, right? Sometimes that's better for competitive games where you need to pinpoint exactly where that sound is coming from.
Interesting.
Left or right.
It's tactical.
It's tactical. It's all about the advantage, right?
Right, yeah.
And then, of course, they talk about wired versus wireless,
Right.
which is always a big debate.
Always.
Right.
Huge.
Wireless is convenient. You can move around.
Yeah.
But wired often means less latency.
Ah, latency.
Yeah, so for our listeners who might not know what latency is,
Yeah, explain that.
essentially it's the delay between your action and when it's reflected in the game.
Oh, okay.
So you press a button, high latency means there's going to be a noticeable delay before that action happens on the screen.
It's you click and then a second later something
A
happens.
second later, half a second later even.
Not good.
Not good. Especially in those competitive games where milliseconds matter.
Right, right.
Every millisecond counts.
Yeah.
So
Makes a difference.
low latency is key.
Gotcha.
So yeah, picking a headset is about way more than just looking cool.
It's about all the tech behind it.
It's about the sound, the comfort,
Yeah.
and all the tech behind it.
Makes sense.
So the next episode idea is customizing your gaming setup.
Ooh.
And this is where I think
wild.
things get really interesting.
Okay, so we're going beyond just the basic.
We're going beyond the gear. We're talking about ergonomics, comfort, personalization, you know.
Like your whole setup.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They emphasize having a comfortable chair,
Very important.
a proper desk setup, monitor positioning.
Because I feel like a lot of people overlook that.
Oh, absolutely.
They just want the latest, greatest gear.
Yeah, they're focused on like the specs, the RGB.
But they're not comfortable.
They're not comfortable. They're hunched over. They're going to have back problems later.
And then they're not playing as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can't play your best if you're not comfortable, right?
Right. Yeah.
But they also acknowledge, like, you know, part of the fun is making your setup your own.
Okay.
So they talk about RGB lighting, cable management, making it look aesthetically pleasing.
Right.
You know, reflecting your style.
Yeah, it should be an extension of your personality in a way.
It should. It should be a space that you enjoy spending time in.
Absolutely. So it's not just about performance. It's also about
It's about the vibes.
the vibes.
Exactly. The whole experience.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's super interesting.
And then we can't forget about console gamers.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about them?
So the fourth episode idea is gaming controllers and console accessories,
Okay.
which I think is, you know, there's a lot to unpack there.
That's a whole world.
Yeah, because they're not just talking about like the standard controllers you get with the console.
Right.
They're talking about like specialized controllers for PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo.
Oh, wow.
You know,
So like specific to each platform.
specific to each platform, like tailored to your grip, your play style.
Tell me more.
They talk about like adjustable triggers, custom button mapping, you know.
Right.
Like if you don't like the button layout, you can change it.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, specialized grips.
I need to check this out.
And they even talk about charging stations,
Oh, yeah. That's a good point. Yeah.
which, let's be honest, are essential for any serious console gamer.
And I
Nobody
generally-
wants to be caught mid-game with a dead controller,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of good stuff there for console gamers specifically.
Yeah. I bet they'd be really excited about that episode.
Oh, yeah.
So what's the last one?
All right, so we've reached like the final episode idea,
Okay.
and this is the big one.
Hit me with it.
High-performance PC builds for gaming.
Okay. The Holy Grail.
This is where things get like really technical,
Okay.
but also incredibly exciting.
yeah.
All right. We're talking about building your own PC versus buying a pre-built one.
I feel like that is the question.
That is the question.
Right.
And there's no easy answer.
No, I've heard arguments on both sides.
Yeah, exactly. Building gives you that like ultimate control and customization.
You can make it exactly what you want.
Exactly. You handpick every component,
Right.
but it can be super daunting.
For someone just starting out.
Yeah, especially for newcomers.
Yeah.
Right? Like, where do you even begin?
Right.
Buying pre-built is convenient,
You just plug and play.
plug and play, but you might be sacrificing some flexibility.
Right. Okay.
So this episode really breaks down the pros and cons of each approach.
That's awesome.
Helps listeners decide, like, what's right for them, you know, what are their priorities?
Yeah, that makes sense.
And of course, they go into, like, all the best components of 2024, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like the CPUs,
Yeah.
GPUs, storage drives, cooling solutions.
That was good stuff.
All the good stuff. And what I think is especially valuable is they emphasize future-proofing your build,
Oh, okay.
which is like so important.
So it's not just about getting the best right now.
It's not about just like maxing out your specs
Yeah.
today. It's about making smart choices so your PC can handle the games of tomorrow.
Right. So it's more of a long-term investment.
It's an investment, absolutely.
That makes sense.
So you're not having to upgrade every year.
Right. You want to get as much longevity out of it as possible.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Now, having gone through all of that,
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious, thinking about your own gaming, what piece of gear do you think is like the most crucial to your enjoyment?
Oh, that's a good question. I think for me, honestly, it's got to be the monitor.
The monitor. Okay.
Yeah. Like having a crisp, responsive display
Mm.
just elevates the whole experience, you know?
I can see that.
It's like you're really immersed in the world.
Yeah.
I don't know. What about you?
For me, I think it's the keyboard.
Okay.
It's all about that like tactile feedback.
You like the clicky keys?
The clicky keys and that responsiveness,
Yeah.
it really makes me feel connected to the game.
Oh, yeah. It's like an extension of yourself.
It is.
Yeah.
It's like my weapon.
It's your weapon. Yeah. And it's different for everybody.
It is.
Some people it's the mouse.
Exactly.
Some people it's the headset.
Yeah.
But it's cool to think about, like, what really makes the difference.
It is. And it shows that, like, each piece of gear contributes to the overall experience.
It's all part of the puzzle.
It's all part of the puzzle.
Awesome. Well, this deep dive has been super insightful.
Yeah, it has.
It's really opened my eyes to just, like, how much goes into creating the perfect gaming setup.
There's a lot to consider.
There is.
More than you might think.
Yeah, more than you might think.
I don't know.
Absolutely. And to all our listeners out there, I hope this has sparked some ideas, maybe inspired you to kind of level up your own gaming setup.
Yeah.
Whether it's finding that perfect headset, customizing your controller,
Yeah.
or even taking the plunge and building your own PC.
Go for it.
You know?
Absolutely.
At the end of the day, it's all about creating an experience that you truly enjoy.
Could not agree more.
So get out there, explore your options, and happy gaming.
Happy gaming, everyone.
See you next time.
See you later.
All right, bye.
Bye.